The Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, has met with Australia's new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. Albo, they call him. It sounds like it went really well, with the Australian Prime Minister tweeting this photo, looking very chummy indeed, and saying that the Prime Minister was a very close friend. So there you go. A warm embrace from the Australian Prime Minister for Jacinda Ardern. Joining us now with the latest is Australia correspondent Emma Cropper. Emma, good morning. It seems like, well, these two do know each other from previous engagements, don't they?
They do, yes. This is just their first time meeting formally as Prime Ministers, and it was actually Anthony Albanese has just moved into Kirribilli House in the past few days, so Jacinda Ardern was his first guest there last night. They had a very formal dinner. They had crispy skin kingfish and zucchini noodles. That's what Prime Ministers eat when they meet for dinner. They had chocolate and almond cakes, some Tasmanian wine, so a very friendly, warm embrace as Jacinda arrived here in Australia. So you can actually you certainly do get a very sense of how different the relationship is between these two compared to when Jacinda Ardern was over here visiting Scott Morrison. Yeah,
we will get into the nuts and bolts of it, but zucchini noodles, no shrimp on the barbie.
No shrimp on the barbie, and it did have us all guessing last night. My guess was chicken snitty. Could have been the Aussie cuisine they put forward, or someone guessed some lamb, but no, they went with the kingfish and zucchini noodles. So, yeah, we don't know whether Jacinda Ardern brought that fish over from Australia, perhaps something Clark caught, not too sure.
From New Zealand, yeah. I see the kingfish, of course, would have been the main course. All right, let's talk about the main course when it comes to our diplomatic relations with Australia, and that's the 501 deportees. Are we likely to see any movement here whatsoever? Is there room for some adjustment, given the pledges that Albanese made during his campaign?
Look, it is going to be really interesting. I don't think anyone's going to see any changes during this visit, that's for sure. Anthony Albanese has said he backs that policy. It is a very popular policy here in Australia. Most Australians don't realise how much grief it is causing New Zealand, and they like to see that these people they see as criminals and are quite dangerous in their society, they are being sent home. So whether what Anthony Albanese will be, how far he'll be willing to go will be quite interesting. We have heard he is open to a compromise. Jacinda Ardern has hinted that could be that those New Zealanders who have no connection at all, those New Zealanders who essentially were just born in New Zealand and moved over here when they were 6-7 months old, that they may be allowed to stay in Australia. But I think on this trip, seeing as he's only been elected for a few weeks here, I don't think we'll see any change today, but it will be interesting to see whether he's how far he's willing to go to make changes in the coming year or so.
Yeah, the other big thing, of course, is China's role in the Pacific and the recent trip by the Chinese Foreign Minister to 10 countries in the region. Obviously, Anthony Albanese dispatched his Foreign Minister twice in the space of the few weeks they've been in power. Are we expecting any updates on that, Emma, today for their meeting?
Well, that's actually quite interesting, because while we're all thinking Jacinda Ardern's going to come over here and go sort of firing on that 501 issue, Anthony Albanese, and for Australia, the Pacific and the rise of China there, that is the #1 issue here. That is what they are all quite fearful here at the moment. In a country like New Zealand, who hasn't visited the islands like Penny Wong has been in the past few weeks, they're going to be looking to New Zealand and wondering where they've been, if they can help out in any way, use those close ties we've got with the Pacific. So it will be interesting to see what movement is made there, if he calls for any New Zealanders for us to go into the Pacific Islands and help out and sort of be a leader in that area, because at the moment it has been Penny Wong going around visiting. So while Jacinda is coming over here with the 501s, Anthony Albanese is going to be wanting to know what New Zealand is doing to help combat China's rise in the Pacific. Yeah,
absolutely. Emma, you've got a big day ahead of you. Thanks for getting up early for us over there in Sydney this morning. We'll, I'm sure, hear from Emma throughout the day here on 3 and newshub.co.nz. That's Newshub Australia correspondent Emma Cropper.